What's up, everybody? One Fun Guy live podcast live in the studio tonight. My guest is Nova Riot. I'm super excited to have you guys on. I'm gonna have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get into this.
Hi, I'm Nova from Nova Riot, and
I'm Orion from Nova Riot.
we are a bubblegum metal band from a little bit on the
Red River. We're from the Red
Right.
River Valley.
Okay.
border of Texas and Oklahoma.
So that was going to be one of the first questions I was going to ask because are you guys now in Texas? I know you mentioned Dallas. Are you splitting time? Are you just recording there? Like,
Yes.
what's the connection to
Yes.
Dallas and
Yes, and
Oklahoma?
yes.
We'll
Okay,
start from the beginning.
we're both natively born Oklahomans. But when I was coming up, I'm quite a bit older than her, but when I was coming up in the music scene, there was no heavy rock or metal scene in the state of Oklahoma. So I migrated to Dallas, where I mean, because we grew up very like we're 2, 3, maybe 2 to 3 hours from Dallas.
Yep,
It's
Okay.
our next biggest hub.
I'm like an hour and a half.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's kind of our connection to Dallas. I'm a longtime veteran of the music scene in that area, but we do split our time in between Texas and Oklahoma. We're back and forth quite a bit.
Okay, awesome. So let's start from the beginning. How did Nova Riot become about? How did you guys form as a band? How was the connection? Were you guys friends before this? How did you guys meet? To tell us how this became where we're at today.
So we met through a mutual friend. He had a different project, and my mom had put my son in drum lessons with the drummer of their other band, and they were talking about their singer not showing up. So I showed up to audition for another project that they had that was totally different sound, and that was very obvious that I wasn't going to work for that. But we immediately wrote a song together that very same night of meeting each other, and have been kind of inseparable since then. And we did that other project for about 2 years before we were like, okay, we don't want to be like a local project anymore. Let's strip everything down, create a world. This aesthetic, honestly, has kind of always been me since I was younger. I've been heavy into like horror themed makeup. I did cosmetology and hair. And so and my love for horror movies and his love for horror movies. So we just kind of decided to strip that down and rebrand ourselves as Nova Riot and come out the gate a lot more polished and a lot more stronger than our older project.
Yeah, believe it or not, we actually had a triple A acoustic pop band before this. Though I toured as a new metal guitarist in a project for 18 years. And I we was writing some really good music and it was doing fine on the radio, but I was very bored. And so I told Nova, I said, I'm bored. I need to go do something a little bit more loud. I said, you can go do a side project with your friends and we can reconvene with the pop thing a little later. Or you can come do this with me. And she's like, I'm going with you. And so right then we started setting down conceptualizing this whole thing because I knew, like I said, I'm a 20-year industry veteran, and I've had the privilege of sharing the stages with all my heroes, but it never really, to say that I didn't have success would be underselling myself. I had success, but it didn't ever satisfy me, and so
Sure.
I knew that grinding bars was not the way that I wanted to do it, so we decided we wanted to build our own little universe. Something that kind of transcended just the music, but also built an aesthetic. And with social media these days, and really everybody being glued to the screen, we knew that we needed to step it up in the video and photography
Sure.
game, and so we really planned this out very well. And of course, we did a little, before we made the transition from projects, because we literally killed one and started the other one
Immediately.
immediately. And but we knew it leading up to this, so we had been rehearsing the kind of things that we knew we were going to try to do with this project. And so that's kind of how Nova Riot started. We had already written some heavy music, but we couldn't release it with the other thing. And so we kicked off Nova Riot Valentine's Day. I know it says in our bio 2024, but we actually launched Nova Riot on Valentine's Day of 2025.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're barely been a band a full year, and probably 8 months, I think, is when we got, actually sit down and started talking with Eclipse Records.
Okay. So let me ask a quick question. I ask a lot of the artists that have been on my podcast before. The music industry now is much different than it was 15, 20 years ago. And with the idea of getting plays on Spotify and Apple Music versus somebody going and buying a physical copy, how do you guys kind of differ in that way where you do you find yourself trying to focus more on social media and getting songs on on a playlist or getting somebody's ear that way, or do you guys still like going through the old school way of physical media and like selling CDs and stuff at shows? Like, what's your guys take on how you plan on making a living doing this?
Well, luckily, we don't have to make a living doing this.
Okay.
I mean, the great thing is I'm old enough now where I have other sources of income, and so
Sure.
it's not that big of a deal that we want to have success at this, and we would love
Right.
for it to.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing: is you have to be diversified. Okay, it's not. And we were discussing this earlier about a band. I won't name no names, but you can clearly see they have 100,000 plus plays on a song, but only have 6,000 monthly listeners, and that's bought. And so there's a fine line of what's actually reality compared to what people see on paper. And so
Sure.
we want to be organic.
Right.
That's the one thing that we haven't done. If you go look at our followers, they're not some outrageous number. We had one, I mean, like we had a video hit on YouTube, and we got some very small follower count there,
Sure.
but we ended up getting like 40, 50,000 views on our latest music video. But we don't want to go beg for playlists. We want to do it very organically.
Sure.
We definitely want them on Spotify. We want you listening on YouTube.
Yeah.
We want you watching our videos, more importantly, because that is where we shine.
Right.
Is in the aesthetics
Right,
and
and
the
Sure.
trying to
right,
create our own little world.
exactly. So we call it the Riot verse. I know that's corny as hell, but
No, it's awesome.
uh,
I like
it's kind of like we're the monsters, or we're the Adams family in a sense. We
Sure.
want to kind of bring that kind of vibe. So we actually are about to shoot a short film. We would love to do more things in that vein.
Sure.
bring in some acting, bring in,
Right,
the comedy.
diversify in a sense. We're actually building a studio in
That's
Texas
awesome.
so that we can start doing more things like
Okay.
streaming video games and other avenues. So
Sure.
we don't necessarily want to rely on just one source to be the viability to
Awesome.
be able to fund this project. Physical copies are actually making a comeback, so
Right.
we do feel like that is something that's very important too. My kids' generations are realizing they don't own anything, and the technology to make the products like the vinyl and the CDs and all that stuff is getting cheaper. So even 15 years, it's 15 years since I've had a band that made a CD, which is kind of
Okay.
slow.
Right.
But this band we'll probably have vinyl, we'll have CDs, and
That's
maybe for
awesome.
the hell of it, they're bringing boomboxes back. We might
Yeah,
make a cassette or
absolutely.
two.
That would be
Right.
I
fun.
hear you.
But yeah, so that's kind of where we would like to be, is bridging that gap somewhere in between, not just music, but also making money from short form content, from short films. We want to be pushing to get our songs on films. We're pitching it to a franchise right now, Clown Motel 4.
Okay.
So we're hoping that we can get a single going on that movie. It's a good B horror movie, and that's the
Sure.
kind of realm that we like to live in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
awesome.
but
I'm
yeah,
I'm in that realm.
right. So that's kind of, we definitely want to be diversified that way.
I don't mind being corny. I love elote.
Yeah, right.
I eat a lot of that
Did,
actually.
did you just tell a dad joke? That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Nice. So when you guys come together and you write a song, what's your process for doing it? Do you write the lyrics first? Do you write the music first? How does that evolve?
I love this question because it's so many times that Orion has composed a song by themselves and I have written a song by myself, and that we sit down and it just comes to life. And there's been a lot of songs that they brought to me. I would say that it has worked out more when they are playing the guitar that they want to be playing, but not whatever it is, most of the time I can put my lyrics to whatever they've come up with, and so it just works like that.
Perfect. So
Yeah,
where do you,
it's no,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I'll let, no, no,
Oh,
no.
I was just going to add to what she was saying. Yeah, it's one of those things where, like I'm a multi-instrumentalist and I don't really have to rely on chemistry for a whole lot of things. But when you meet somebody that just has that, like she said, I can just be noodling and she might have we can create something just on the go sometimes that,
A lot.
so sometimes we don't even just write separately and bring it together. Sometimes we just like in the moment. And like she said, when we first met, we wrote a song that night. I had never played that riff before that night. She had never sung
Yeah.
those lyrics before that night. That was something that we created like within just that magic, that happens whenever
Sure.
you
Caught it on a Facebook message audio voice recording.
yeah.
That's awesome. So moving into touring, how do you guys figure out your schedule? How do you figure out the shows, the venues? Do you guys do that? Do you have a management team that does that? How's your touring process?
So we have yet to tour yet,
Okay.
and we do have something that we're talking about being in the works. I have had a decent struggle with my health um, in the last 2 years, but we're trying to get that all worked out.
Sure.
And but I'd say that Orion over here does a lot of that work of reaching out to people that he would like to work with, and
Yeah.
he makes a lot of this happen for us.
You could
Sure.
say that I'm the managing member of the band.
Okay.
And the band, and when we say, even just funny to just say member of the band, because I really like that term. We're artists.
Right.
We don't just do the music, we do every aspect of what we create in the Riot verse, from the wardrobe to the mask to the art to the music
To
videos
building this,
to
a lot of the sets,
Mhm.
not all of
yeah,
them, but a lot.
right. So we actually only have three permanent members of the band that are assigned members with the label, and we decided that we wanted to do it that way because we wanted to keep our creative smarkle the creative circle small.
Sure.
And so, it gave us a lot more latitude, because our lead guitarist owns a studio. I'm a cinematographer. I own all the video gear. Nova's brilliant aesthetically. She knows all the right things that we need to be doing as far as making this look all come together and everybody vibe with that. And lyrically, she's a genius. And so we just knew we didn't need to ask anybody, have somebody else in the band that we needed to ask their
Sure.
permission to do something. And so, like, in the studio, we use our friend Matt Thompson. He's
Right.
the drummer for King Diamond.
Okay.
He's actually done all of our songs, even in the previous musical projects, and he's a great guy. We love having him on the record. Most of the time, he's too busy to jump on a music video. We are talking about shows, and like Nova said, the touring thing. We're looking at possibly kicking off Dallas, Texas in December. There's a special event that happens in Deep Ellum every year, and if everything goes as planned, we may jump on that. If that doesn't work out, then we are talking about a potential 25-day, 4-week run with a certain somebody that we can't really name any names just yet, but there will be signs to that. There's a feature
Sure.
coming up, a co-release, hopefully as well. So that will be album number 2, though.
So we got a little bit of time for that.
Yeah, we got
Sure.
that time. So
Who
yeah,
would
we,
be
we, we didn't put no pressure, but before
right?
we move on though, lose my train of thought. We didn't put no pressure on ourselves about playing
Okay.
live.
Awesome. Who would be some bands you'd want to tour with? Like, who are some like guys or girls or artists that you would feel comfortable sharing the stage with?
Oh man, that's a hard one to answer right there because our musical tastes are so diverse. I know
Sure.
that
And a little different from each other.
and way different from each other, but right off the bat, that I think the band would do really well with, our friends in Drowning Pool. We would love to go out on the road with those guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another band that I think that we might would fit really well with, I would really enjoy going. Pop Evil would be one.
Okay.
Of course, there's always the bands that you would say like a Slipknot or somebody like that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but yeah,
I
but
love
Right.
them. Or
and
maybe In This Moment, or like Kim
oh yeah, In This
Dracula.
Moment would be
Okay.
fun. That
Kim
would be
Dracula would be cool too.
In This Moment
Yeah.
would be
In This
perfect.
Moment would be perfect.
Absolutely. So yeah,
Um,
those would be really cool people. I mean, guys like anybody like Mushroom Head or something, because
Sure.
those are the bands that we really take a lot of inspiration from, loosely, because those guys were kind of, the Slipknots and the Mushroom Head and Rob
Sure.
Zombie, who really
Right.
kind of just made this whole horror genre really a thing. And they crawled so we could walk and run, and here we are. Of course, we put our own spin on it, like the
Sure.
bubblegum thing. That's our aesthetics. When you hear the sound, it definitely is more new metal or heavy
Right.
rock, or however you would want to categorize it. But
but
yeah,
always would
So is
like a
that
good.
something that's picking up for you guys, like having that bubblegum theme in the music? Is that like
People
is
love it,
that
and we love it,
starting to
and
catch on? Is that
yeah,
it gets
yeah.
that like, what is this? And it's like, well, you know, I like to have a good hook. I want something that keeps people coming back to it, to feel like it's still like not overcomplicated.
Right. Instead of the horror being dark, we make it colorful,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know, and
I'm very neon
that's the
in my
thing
aesthetic.
that's
The pink hair. My
right.
whole
Yeah.
closet is like pink, neon, like neon pink, neon green, blue, red, cheetah print, black, like
Sure.
skulls, old school like that. So like a rainbow clown threw up on this goth girl, however you want to
I'm a little bit
take
older,
it.
so I always say it's like a mix in between Punky Brewster and Wednesday Adams.
Okay.
But I think only my generation gets
Yeah,
that.
I never quite got
Right.
that, but I appreciate. After I was like, okay,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
honestly, this is her full time though. This is not her.
I've been this way since middle
Yeah,
school. I've always been
That's
into
awesome.
like, I was always
and
doing crazy stuff with my outfits and like wanting to just make myself look like a character. My birthday's the day after Halloween, so I was like real into Halloween makeup. Went to cosmetology school, did hair for a long time before deciding to, mainly focus on my music for the last year.
yeah, she's the inspiration for the whole entire theme of the band because I probably would never be caught dead in pink, but it really grew on me.
Right.
And next thing I know, she's such that personality. I'm like blinged out pink, and so it's like hell yeah, I can rock this all day long. This is cool. And but we experienced other people in the past that just really didn't see our vision, and so that's whenever we decided as songwriting partners we would just do this on our own and not bother worry about having a bunch of bandmates. I cut bass and rhythm guitars in the studio. Our lead guitarist, which this is not doing things like this is not his bag.
Hmm.
Interviews and stuff.
Sure. No, it's not for
He
everybody. I
likes
get it.
being a silent
Yeah.
partner, and but we love him to death, and so we don't really. The last thry music videos, you're not even like, yeah, guys, you're just going to have to do that on your own, and that's okay. For shows and stuff, if it's important, he'll be there, and if not, another reason why we wear masks is so that we can put somebody else in that position if we need to.
That
I'll
makes
always be
sense.
there.
She will
Yeah.
always be there,
Right.
and I will most likely always be there, but you never know about the rest of the guys. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know you mentioned it a little bit before about Hollywood. How do you guys feel the music scene has changed where now not many people are going out west anymore? A lot of people are going east to New York or central to, like you said, Dallas, Chicago. How does that, do you think that environment's changed where like back in the day, you went to Hollywood to make it?
Well, I've never seen Hollywood personally.
yeah, I
Okay.
think it really boils down to really how the consumers have evolved. And so the scene in Hollywood started out with the hair metal and
Sure.
the heavy metal and the grunge, and then of course you come over more towards like the Dallas, Texas area. DFW is kind of what we classify it as, because Dallas and Fort Worth they touch wieners,
Hmm.
in a sense. But it's even like you go there, like you got Drowned Pool, Pantera, you got
Sure.
We got bands like Local H. So many really cool artists live in that area and play in that area. But when the consumer's ear evolves, that's where the music scene ends up. So
Okay.
that's kind of my theory of it anyway. And I think that people just, the bands, because if you live in Hollywood, you're likely to be influenced by that sound. You're not creating something that's ultimately so far out of that realm. You're going to be playing like your influences that you grew up watching or listening to. Well, in other areas of the world, that's a little bit the same. Dallas tends to sound the same. Fort Worth tends to sound the same. New York tends to sound the same.
I
Sure.
And the consumer is who changing, and
Yeah.
they go where
That's a
their
great
tastes
point.
are. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I am probably too young to answer this question.
Well, so here's the thing, right? Age isn't really a thing. I will say
Right.
this: if you get a chance to get out there, it's awesome, right? Because when you see
Right.
the troubadour, the whiskey, the rainbow, and you walk
Yeah.
down Sunset, it does something to you. I don't play an instrument at all, and I
And it
feel the
still feels
connection, right?
beautiful.
Because
Oh
when
yeah.
you go down there, all the plaques are on the wall. So like you see like Jim Morrison, the Doors, like
Yeah.
you see
Right.
Lemmy's stuff, the signatures and things. So I mean, just being like a music fan, it draws you in. Like there's something about
Yep.
it that I mean, I grew up in the Chicagoland area, and going to see shows in Chicago is fantastic, and going to see shows in other places that I've been to, but seeing a show in LA when you're there, like it's just something that's like more
And
special.
it feels, yeah, it
I
feels
can't explain it.
sleepy.
It's
It's like a
something,
dirt. Yeah, it's like
yeah, it's
you feel like
weird.
you've experienced some. And shout out to our lead guitarist. He's in another band called Stink Bug. They are actually playing the whiskey. I think the 27th tomorrow. I think actually.
Okay.
Or maybe they already played it this weekend, or it's the last day of the month.
Yeah.
Any rate, they're playing the whiskey with X Faces.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
so he'll get to actually come back and tell us what the experience was like, and he would have been the perfect guy to ask this,
Yeah.
because not
It's
only
just
that,
really cool because the ambiance is it's amazing, right?
right,
I mean,
he's
Right.
also a touring front of house engineer, so he's been the touring engineer for Drowning Pool,
okay.
Pat Green, who's a living legend in the Texas country music scene. He Stony LaRue, and he's actually the front of house engineer at one of the biggest venues in Dallas. So, but yeah, he'd have been the right guy to ask that question because he's definitely
Yeah.
seen it all for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just it's cool. I don't want to like, kind of, beat a dead horse here, but like the ambiance, like going and see the palm trees, seeing North Hollywood, the Hollywood Hills are right above it, right? You have all these beautiful mansions right above, and it's just cool. It's just a really neat experience. And I've seen a lot of concerts in a lot of other cities, and the draw there is just it's visual, visually appealing, but just the aesthetics, like everything about it just seems so. And California's laid back, and it's that they have that environment and that attitude.
Right.
And
Right?
seeing a show there's just it's incredible. It's really cool.
Yeah,
I was
I've
fortunate
turned
enough
down
to
a
see
few.
Meshuggah there, so
Oh,
that's why.
nice.
So
I've
yeah,
turned a few shows down at the whiskey, but probably in this project, if we had an offer, we probably would take it.
Yeah.
But like she said, we got to get her health in order first.
yeah,
She
for
she
sure.
might go ahead and tell you about that. She's a type 1 diabetic, and
Okay,
Yeah, I just started this insulin pump right here.
all right,
So, and my blood sugar swings from like the 400s to the
yeah,
40s every day.
she
okay,
used to really hound me like, we got to play, we got to go play, and I'm like,
He's
listen,
like, hey,
yeah,
calm down a little bit, because we go shoot a music video 3-4 hours into it, and she's falling out, and so.
yeah,
I was like, you got to realize that this is some of the most grueling stuff that you're going to do. You're going to be stuck in the van for 4 and 5
right,
hours at a time sometimes, where I mean, that's not necessarily the place you want to be when you're starting to have low blood sugar
sure,
thoughts. And I
I'm
mean, but
working on finding
you definitely want to be surrounded by people that knows what you're going through.
yeah,
But,
absolutely,
and I'm working on finding the right foods that,
right, but
supposed to
yeah,
keep me up
let's say she
longer.
has a low while she's right in the middle of a set, and I mean, she's gone down
sure,
before, so we
Yeah,
got
I
to
go down
be.
yeah,
quick.
right.
So we have
That
to.
was Brett Michaels, right? Wasn't he the
Yeah.
diabetic? Right? Didn't he
Yep.
have that problem?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure
See,
is.
rock stars could do it. You're gonna be fine.
I'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah. But we
Yeah,
had
for
to,
sure.
her being so young that they don't they at that age they think they're invincible, and so we had to really get her to understand that you need to be on the pump, you need to be
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really
eating
stubborn about
healthy,
it.
eat
I can
healthy
imagine.
and living healthy,
Yeah.
and because this industry will eat you up as it is. And so if you don't go out there and, we built such a really good thing on social media. When we do finally do the live thing, we want it to be a reflection of that, an extension of that. We don't want it to be a lackluster experience. So
Right.
we need everybody to be on their A game.
Yeah.
So we're Oklahoma sober. I mean,
Sure.
we might consume a little grass. None of us drink
Yeah.
or do anything hard, but we try to eat healthy and stay healthy. And
No, but let me ask you a question. I know you kind of were hesitant to talk about it, but don't you think you'd be a great advocate for it for people
I'm
that are
feeling
going through it and like that you're on the stage and you have that presence and that aura about you? Like people, I think would be really like kind of if she could do it, I can do it. Like you're kind of like the front runner in this.
So I'm feeling that way now. It took me a long time because so I have type 1 diabetes, which is the genetic side of it, but I got it at 23 years old, which is still questions the doctors and I'm really
Sure.
brittle. And so I think I just like got in my head that I just wanted to hide it and I was really insecure. But now that's why I got the pump was finally like, who cares if people see this is attached to me? And
Yeah.
now I'm starting to get to this place where I do want to advocate for it because it's been a struggle for me and I would like to relate to that. So I actually wrote a song, which I think I told you about on the phone about,
that,
he hasn't even heard it yet, but just the other night, right after getting this pump and stuff, and I was having really bad struggles that day. I had like 3 lows that were almost seizure level.
Mhm.
And, so I did go home and write a song from the perspective of like how it can be hard to have to always have the will to live because it's me saving myself every day. So yeah, I'd love to get on that and let other people feel like they're less alone because that's what we all crave in life is somebody to connect to.
That's awesome. So you guys dropped a new single, right? It's awesome, right? So the album is coming around, right? You go to Spotify, you go to Apple, you got 3 songs, and then the rest of them are still to be filled in. How's that process going? Is that something that's ongoing? Is the album actually finished? Are you doing the
Album's
tracks
finished.
now or
Album is the label has our album and it will be
okay,
released on August 21st and all the music videos are wrapped up for it and it is finally some I cried getting it back after listening to it in its entirety because it is everything that younger me it's the same kind of music I listened to growing
sure.
up. It's finally we had mentioned that we did like a pop project before and I love that but this is where my heart is and it's just getting that back feels amazing.
Sure. Now, obviously, the fans are going to be a little bit different, right? You have pop fans that are kind of a different, and you have metal fans.
Right.
Are you able to bridge the gap between the two? Do they
Um,
come together at the shows, or do you kind of just only now? Obviously, you don't want to exclude anybody, and I'm not trying to sound mean when I say it, but like a lot of the pop fans won't go to metal shows because they think that stigma. Is there a way
right.
that you might be able to bridge the gap and say, "Hey, everyone's accepted here," and kind of bring them over?
Everyone definitely will be accepted, but at the end of the day, I think that I really just want to make sure that we're happy with this because if we are 100% happy with it, I think that the right people, I think that I've actually growing up in a small town, um, Durant, Oklahoma, it did when I first did that other band, I was constantly worried what people were going to think about me. I think this was always me. And it was like, oh,
Sure,
I've got to do something that's, kind of acoustic pop, but it still has this emo feel to it, but it still almost could sound a little red dirt. And just like, we'll be a little weird, but I'm still going to be like the cute, like, um southern emo girl, like I think they'd call it like the alternative. And now I'm at a point that I want everyone to feel welcome and
sure.
loved, but the best way that I think that I can do that is by being me and not being concerned what anyone would think about it, because if I constantly do that, it's like with the insulin pump. If I'm constantly worried what others are thinking, then I can't be who I am. So,
Absolutely.
but of
And
course they're
it's
welcome.
and it's great, right? Because I've been to a lot of different concerts in a different styles in my life, and the metal community is the best by far. Like they are the
100%.
most accepting, and
Mhm.
like like it is something that like can't be said for any other genre of music.
A
If you
hundred
are a
percent
metalhead, it's a different like group of people,
more
and
love,
they
so
right,
much
and
love.
and the image that they portray isn't the characteristics of them, because they're a very welcoming, accepting, and loving community. It's just they kind of look vicious, but they're like teddy bears on the inside. Like the metal
Yeah,
shows are the best shows in the world. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
and
I,
concert goers,
I
like
I actually like to attribute my success in life to being able to start as a musician young in the music scene. I have ADHD. I have ADHD and autism, and
mhm,
so I really struggled being around people in the beginning. But
sure,
that helped me build confidence in myself to where now, I mean, I own businesses and things, and
right,
it's just I attribute all my success in life to the confidence that the metal community lifting me up
Me too.
gave to me.
I have been to a lot of shows, and I've had so many, what I feel to be you connected to people. Like I've
mhm,
never felt, almost would be like what a religious person would feel like. Like I've genuinely just
right,
seen so much love in those crowds, and I've been in crazy mosh pits. And then as soon as
yeah,
someone go down, like we are there and we're gonna pick them up. And as soon as someone's saying they're uncomfortable, all
yeah,
the metalheads are just screaming to get them out. I've took my son who's just turned 10 to shows, and like he wanted to get in the pit, but it was too big of a place for me to let him. So like me and a bunch of random strangers just made it fun for him
right,
right there up at
yeah,
the rail. Like that you want, he was the one given the rose by the girl singer. Like it's just, I've seen so much love at those places. So that's the kind of crowd I'm wanting to attract
Right,
anyway.
but I think it'd be a mixed bag. I think the bubblegum aesthetics could bring in some of the poppy people
Hmm.
I
that
think
are
so
on the
too.
fence. Yeah,
And we need that, right? Like you
yeah,
you should go to a show to have fun no matter what's there.
right.
I just
Right.
I've had this conversation with a lot of guests on my shows, and I just think that the metal community is the most accepting of other genres, where other
Yes.
genres they're not accepting of other kind of music. And
Right.
especially country artists, like I know you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
they are very boots to the ground about how they
They
feel
are.
about
Boy, they sure got
country
pissed
only,
when,
right? The
yeah,
good old
when,
boys.
I've
And
gone
yeah.
it
to a couple
seems
country shows, and
Well, they got pissed when Beyonce came out with an album. I
right.
mean,
So
and then
that's
that's another reason why we decided to kind of not really care. Like at the end of the day, as long
sure.
as we was doing what made us happy, because
Right.
we've experienced the
Yeah, that's
gatekeepers.
right.
When you talk to radio, like if you want your music on AAA music, you're going to have to find a radio promoter, and there's only going to be a handful of those, and they may or may not be taking artists. And if they are, it's going to cost you $5,000 to $6,000 to get your songs on the radio for the next 3 to 6 months or whatever. I mean, that is real stuff.
Sure.
right.
This is not like when the movies make it seem like you go out and you're playing in a bar and somebody from a record label comes in, and that's fairy tale stuff. And
Yeah.
in this day and time,
You got to kick that door
in this
Right.
down.
day and time,
That's it.
there's somebody from a record label is not going to waste their time going to a bar. They're going to find you on social media,
Right.
and so we kind of like bands were telling us, oh, you got to go grind. You got to take every show, which I've already lived that, man. 20 years of grinding bars will have you just like,
Right.
and I'm not saying playing shows aren't fun. They are fun, but we want to be very strategic in how we
Sure.
do things, and so that we're not just accepting something where we can't go out and actually make it theatrical. We want it to be
Yeah.
not just about the music, but also, like I
The
said, the
Absolutely.
theatrics, the
experience.
aesthetic, I want it to be a performance. I want
So
it to feel
yeah,
like
Right.
somebody has been inside of Nova Riot's world
I've been
for that hour that we're on stage.
yeah, I've been exploring some Euro beats and stuff like that, and mixing that with our sound, and that's been a lot of fun for me composing music. That's so I do think we could pull some poppy stuff. Our
Sure.
first single we had a feature with the Bunny the Bear.
Okay.
And those guys are kind of post-hardcore. We're not even the same genre, but people really loved that
It
blend.
was an honor to,
Yeah.
I've been listening to them since middle school.
Nova's Jug. She's
I'm a huge juggalo.
as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, if any of your fans have ever been to a gathering, they've probably met her.
Hi. I
Yeah.
know.
I
I love you guys. You're
Yeah.
my fam.
And so we were actually
Cool.
talking about bringing, because I'm a big new metal guy, and I'm like, man, come on, rap in a song, just one song. She's usually like,
yeah.
but I'm like, okay, so we might do a collab with the
I can
lady.
rap. It's just like
She can.
I'm more. It's like
Sure.
in a new metal song, you have to be
Nobody can
Right.
badass, and
rap.
I'm more
Yeah.
cutesy. So if I was gonna rap, it's gonna be like,
nobody will
You
probably
know?
ever hear that.
you
But
know,
we do have hip hop songs that her and I have written, and maybe when we die, one of these days, somebody will find them and release them.
yeah, they're actually really good, and I listen to them in my car by myself because I like I call it like hyper pop.
We didn't really know when we
Yeah.
started doing writing for Nova Riot too. We was kind of writing some hip hop stuff, and
Yeah.
so it was like, man, we could do this, but we got
Then we got signed,
then we got signed, and it
so
was
it's
like,
like
Yeah.
Nova Riot,
this
lock
is
in.
almost like it's fate, you know. So
Yeah. And it's really kind of crazy because, like, I know you mentioned ICP, right? So, like, but they had a project called Dark Lotus where they
I
actually had, like,
know
right, punk and pop and
right,
different artists. Yeah, it was really cool.
Dark
And it
Lotus
kind
was
of went
so good.
very under the radar
Yeah.
because they didn't really promote it. They kind of kept it low key, like, so if you knew, you knew type of thing. That wasn't really a big promotion about it.
yeah,
The only reason why I found out about it is because at the time I'm a huge wrestling fan, and Vampiro was bringing them to the ring, and he
right,
was on the album, so he was doing most of the promotion for Dark Lotus. Was
Right.
him, not the
yeah, yeah.
ICP doing it. So it was really because it was just them, and at that time I don't think it was, maybe just them and Blaze might have been
Yeah,
the
and
only.
most of them.
ABK might have been like very beginning of it. It's
I got a story about ABK.
yeah.
Swear, swear. And this was before, I was really doing music and had that confidence. Now it's like cool. I'm on the phone with some of my heroes, but I think I was 18 years old. I think it was my first gathering, maybe my second. And I was asleep. And there's a rule at the gathering: do not fall asleep with your shoes on. You're going to get messed with.
Mm,
Well, I swear, ABK comes by and messes with me, wakes me up, and I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, hey, y'all got anything to smoke out of? We don't. I'm like out there. I'm like, crap. It's
right.
me and all my 18-year-old homies. We're starstruck, and I'm like, okay, we got to find it. I go out and I'm like, has anybody got anything? This jug, and they tend to mess with you and just fill you full of bull crap and send you on wild goose chases. It's like, hey, over there by that trash can, I promise there's a swisher on the ground. I'm sitting there like, screw you.
Right.
Like, and by golly, I went over there and found it. We all got pictures with them and stuff. So ABK is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
He's probably got the best looking like outfit too, like as far as the mask goes with the actual like split
yeah.
with the hatchet. Like
Well, he's
he's actually
native
kind of,
too. So
yeah. So
You said you was a wrestling fan. Speaking of wrestling, our last music video, Midnight Coven Crush, featured a couple of wrestlers.
yeah,
One of the
that's,
yeah,
models, Kelly Conundrum, shout out to her. She wrestles as well as Max Beckett,
yep.
the guy that we torture. And I guess you can assume the severed hands that I'm playing the guitar with in the video is his hands. I mean, it might would make sense. But
right. I didn't know they were wrestlers. That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah. And then the
they
other
wrestle,
two
yeah.
are my friends, Sage McNutt
Yeah,
and Haley Neverete, and they're both just pretty models.
Yeah, all beautiful people. And Max, he brought a really cool professionalism because those guys. The reason why we love working with wrestlers is because they understand fighting
yeah,
and pain and
So they're
things like that. So,
theatric.
sure.
so when she's
Very,
pouring
very
hot
theatric.
wax
Yes.
on him, I mean, I'm sure it was burning the shit out of him because we were getting genuine facial
Right.
expressions from that, But he was a trooper, so that's a lot of fun.
That was a lot for me
Yeah,
too, because I never want to hurt anybody. So I was like,
yeah, yeah. But
I looked so corny
he
behind
let
camera.
he was great. He let the girls walk him in on leashes on all fours and stuff, and it takes
Let me put
somebody
like a glittery mask
Right.
on them.
because those guys are not just wonderful and brilliant athletes, but they're great actors too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. So I want to touch a little bit, as I know we're kind of coming down on time, but you mentioned social media and the power of it. How has the reception been for your fans to see you and actually interact with you? I know that like when I sent you guys the message, you sent it back to me. I knew it was you guys and not some bot or some like, so it's very cool that like you have an actual like genuine interaction with your fans because of social media. How has that been a challenge for you to deal with people and responses and getting to know them and is it a challenge? I know at some point you must embrace it, but it also probably could be a little overwhelming. How do you find the balance?
It can be overwhelming, but I mean, that's the most important part. If we can't, until it's so overwhelming that we truly can't, we want to be able
Sure.
to be humble enough to say thank you to our supporters, especially the ones that have been around for this, you know, some that came from the old project and the new ones that have found us through our social media. We want to show that appreciativeness because my biggest, you know, what I want to live by in life is truly just being grateful for every experience you get to get and
Hmm.
understanding that these are real people. These are like people with a whole story just like me, and they found a way to somehow connect through our music that is very,
Yeah, that's pretty humbling.
very humbling and
Sure.
honestly an experience that I would like to remain. You know, there's definitely been times where, you know, we have a little pop off and all of a sudden my inbox is flooded and stuff. And, you know, you could look at it from the old way of like, oh, none of these people talk to me. Or you can choose to look at things from the other side because it's all really whatever
Sure.
glass we're looking from it through and
Right.
understanding. No, they're
Absolutely.
just proud and to,
Okay.
you know, I want to
Yeah.
always be thankful for anybody that is related and
We
welcome
answer
anybody to
every
come on the
comment,
crew
every
and be
comment,
supportive,
every message, every comment.
even any.
One of the things that allows us to do that though is she's privileged enough that she's able to make this her life, and I'm
Yeah.
privileged enough that I'm my
Sure.
own boss, and so that we can take the time to.
Right.
And there's times where this is our, you know, our band is our priority and stuff, and so we go out and we
Yeah.
bust our butts, and we understand that building a momentum starts from the ground up. So it's grassroots. She is such a magnetic personality that people, when we're out in public, they just naturally gravitate to her. And
Sure.
so, and that's anywhere from small children to old ladies.
Even
You
people
know?
you wouldn't think. I've found so much humbling experience in being the way I am in public a lot because we're always doing photo shoots and you don't just get to wipe the makeup off. You got to go into the gas station. You've got to go wherever you are and be completely dressed like this. And I've found, you know, you can never judge a good book by its cover because some of the most, I mean, you know, we're from Oklahoma, Texas area. It can be people that aren't understanding of this exact
Sure.
aesthetic. And I've
Yeah,
found that
satanic
sometimes,
panic.
you know, and I've found that so many of these people still are absolutely drawn to me. And I want to come across pure and not with a pre opinion of them as a person and give them that genuine love and respect back.
Yeah, so we're very
Yeah.
grassroots. We want to connect with the fans and build a genuine fan base. That's why if you look at our page, our follower count isn't something ridiculous.
Sure.
Again, I don't name no names because respect to all these bands out there grinding. I mean, they're doing what the industry tells them that they're supposed to be doing, you know, which is have this big follower count. We want ours to truly be organic. We don't want you to
Right.
follow
Well,
us.
once it gets big from a truly organic grow, it's only going to keep expanding and
Right, it'll
expanding.
keep expanding itself. And so, you know, I mean, you look at it from that point. We want you to find us in ways that are meant to be. You know, it seems like fate. A lot of those we are getting, like she said, people more and more people are talking about us, and so it is
I
growing.
could see that.
Yeah,
I was going to mention, like, it has to make you guys pretty proud, right? Because I've obviously read a lot of the comments that are on your page, and it's overwhelmingly positive. That's got to feel really good, right?
Yeah, it's so many people. We get, I mean, I think we've had maybe 5 hate comments in the entirety of this.
Yeah, most of them are awesome comments and
I
And
know.
hearing
we
people
want, we feed
supporting you.
on it
Yeah, we do.
That's got to
sometimes
make you feel
because,
fantastic,
you
right?
know, it's so good. It's
Right,
like,
yeah.
it makes it,
And the amount of support, if we post something about somebody giving us a hate comment, next thing you know, I mean, it's like, man, maybe y'all better remove this because y'all are about to get roasted into oblivion.
Right.
Don't
yeah,
come
because
under
we
it.
got a whole team
And,
that's ready to be
it's
like,
okay. We don't. If you don't like us, that's okay. You're welcome to your opinion.
actually, please feed the algorithm with your hate
Yeah,
comments.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Um,
But but you know, at the same time, like I said, we do this for us. We think this is art that makes us happy.
mhm.
Sure.
You know, it's like I said, it may seem goofy or whatever the Riot verse and stuff. We're building something that's fun for us, and
And
we are humbled that people have wanted to come along this journey with us. It is truly amazing.
I mean, it makes it's very reassuring that like I feel like I'm really a hard critic when it comes to music sometimes. So I think that I finally am at a point, like I said earlier, that I cried when I got the album back. So I know that I love it, but
Hmm.
the amount of support that I've received and the comments that people tell me in person and online, I can tell that it's authentic and that they truly mean that people really do love what we're doing. So
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
beyond
So
stoked about that.
do you? I guess. Well, we still got some time. Let's ask you some questions.
Yeah,
I
shoot.
thought something that was really cool that you had been doing here lately, and you got a chance to interview Matt Zane.
I did.
And
So
that was, I've been following that whole thing, and I really learned a
it's
lot of really fun stuff by watching your interview. Do
yeah,
you want?
so I met him over a year ago and he came on my podcast and I was a fan. So I saw Society One
Right.
back in '03, and I told him that like I was a fan of your music. And if you haven't seen a Society One show, it's hard to explain to a lot of people. And I know we touched on this before about people that go to metal concerts, but when you see girls at metal concerts, they kind of have like that goth look, or they
Yeah.
kind of have there's a certain look,
Right.
right? I went to so a band from Texas, Pissing Razors, is who he opened for.
Right. I
So
remember those guys. Yeah.
so it was Society One and Pissing Razors. Now we get there and you always kind of go early, right? There was a band on before Society One, and then Pissing Razors was the main. And you kind of have the eclectic metal scene, right?
Right.
Dudes wearing like cutoff shorts, boots, Converse, Chuck Tees, metal shirts, things like that,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So I walk in and it's me and my buddy, and there are four girls with bleach blonde hair, big boobs, and skin tight mini skirts. And I'm like, they don't fit in. Like, what's going on here? Then about three other girls come from backstage in this. They look like strippers, right? If you went to a strip club, that's exactly how they looked. And I'm
Right.
like, are we in the right spot? Like this doesn't seem normal for a metal concert. Now, this is pre-internet, so you can't just go and Google who these people are. So I
Right.
didn't know that Matt Zane was in the adult industry, and these were the people that he brought with them on
Right.
tour. I had no idea. So Matt gets on, does his set, and all these like good-looking girls are walking around, which is abnormal for a metal show. Now, I'm not saying the gothic girls don't look good because they're very attractive, but
Right.
these girls are like literally like right off the set,
Well, you
right?
could
So
just
it's
feel their energy of
yes,
the. It's
correct.
not quite the metalhead energy.
Right.
So going on to Matt, I told him I was like, I'm a huge fan, and we had a great interview about Society One and the suspension and all the stuff, and he filled me in, how he broke the record. He broke David Blaine's record, and then he ended up beating Chris Angel's record, and so he holds the world record for longest suspension. And we got to talk about all his VH1 with Mistress Truly on all the accolades. The thing that made me most depressed about the interview when it was over is that in his mind, he doesn't feel like a rock star. And I'm like, dude, you've played in front of enormous crowds. You've played festivals. You've done things that most people will never get a chance to do in their life. And like, to him, he's just a normal dude that didn't make it. That's
Right.
his, like,
Industry does that too.
Yeah.
yes. And so it
When
was
that's
it was
amazing.
so bizarre after talking to him. I'm like, you are a rock star in every sense of the word. And to him, he's like, I'm just a dude that lives in the valley now. Like, I'm trying to make it back to where I was. And so in
Right.
his mind, he's a failed artist. And I'm like, I don't like, and it's weird to wrap your head around that because when I watch him, I'm like, his band was great. All the stuff
Right.
that he did with all the other bands were great. The bands I saw him on tour with, but to him, now he's just a guy that doesn't really have a band and just kind of does his thing, and he's trying to revamp Society One. So fast forward to the interview with Wayne. It's a very obscure thing because I didn't know how close he was to Wayne Static.
Right.
And they were very good friends, very close friends. And Matt's trying not to let the cat out of the bag with a bunch of stuff, but I think he's doing this movie obviously to celebrate Wayne and Tara and their relationship, which is great. But I think he's kind of got the balls to prove people wrong. I mean, let's just
Right.
face it, right? And
Dude,
I
I
think
just
he's getting so much hate, and his attitude is like, just wait till the movie comes out, and you will
right.
see my side of the story. So it's actually really cool. So Matt's a good dude, and now we're friends. Like, so he invited me to
Right.
California to hang out with him and see,
That's cool,
see him.
man.
We
He
we
seems
text
like
and
a
stuff.
really
So
a genuine guy. I mean, because I pick up
yeah,
on that kind of energy really well. And what's crazy is, that post that he just made that showed. I guess I don't want to not name drop motherfuckers that probably
no, you
canceled
can't
me.
because he actually name dropped everybody. So
Yeah,
he's
Etzel, where Etzel was saying, fucking thank you for being a junkie, allowed
yeah.
me to swoop up. So I thought,
So
wow, man, that
so
was
right before. So the day before I did
Crazy.
the interview, Matt dropped the email from Tony to Wayne. And so it was getting like traction as I'm about to interview him. He's posting all over social media that he's doing my podcast. And now the whole dynamic changed because I had a whole bunch of questions that I wanted to ask him before that email
Right.
dropped. And then the majority of it turned into that email and then what goes on for the future, because obviously he had the cease and desist from both the states. They took down Wayne Static's Facebook because they were getting bombarded with stuff like that.
Right.
So I don't think, that he realized the amount of like Static X fans that there were and like Wayne Static fans. But his recent post is he just put out something today that he found 3 unreleased songs from the Wisconsin
Yes.
Death Trip era.
Right.
And then
Right.
he went to Michael to get him to, because he wrote a lot of the songs with Wayne on
Right.
that
Right.
album. So he's trying to get him to salvage
Yeah.
those pieces of footage that he found in
Right.
the archives, which, it's kind of, crazy that Wayne's been dead now a decade, right?
I know.
And
Right.
and now he's got music that hasn't been heard, and fans really want to hear it. Like that, Static X was a huge band,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they were an influence on a lot of the new metal and industrial metal scene,
Right.
and I think that with Matt's kind of smarts and wit, he kind of comes off as kind of just a sly guy, but he's very,
Right.
very smart.
He
And
seems
he
pretty smart.
knows a lot of music and the
Yeah. Yeah.
insides of music. And I think the movie is gonna basically be a door opening to him doing a lot of under indie films. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that in my imagination, and I tried to ask him about it, but I don't think he wants to let out too much. But I think he actually wants to like make this like an independent film and
Right.
probably get
Right.
it into a couple film festivals to see if it gets picked up and maybe
Yeah.
jumpstart his directing career in this aspect of things.
Man, I love his work
So
as a film, as a
yeah,
cinematographer. I would love to collaborate with him someday, but
dude, I'll hook
oddly
you up.
enough,
I'll
oddly,
I'll
yeah, dude, that'd be
I'll
great.
get you on a
Introduce me.
three-way with him and
Oddly enough, Michael just started following our band today,
yeah.
which I followed them guys, and had been commenting and stuff. So he followed us, and then he sent us a comment that said, I just looked at your phone number. We only live like less than 40 miles from Michael.
Okay. Yeah,
So
so I mean,
yeah,
I'll hook you guys all up. I'll give Matt your
That'd be cool.
number or your info and see who knows what'll happen, right? I mean,
yeah,
Never
he's
know.
yeah,
always, he's super busy doing the movie. So like I kind of
right.
like every time I text him or I send him a message, it takes like a couple days and he's like, man, sorry, I'm just kind of, digging through this stuff and going through. But I mean, I'll help you guys out any way I can. So if you I
Right
mean, I'll
Thank
on.
hook you
you.
up with
Yeah, I
Matt,
thought that
yeah,
was really
for
cool.
sure. But
Really good interview for
yeah,
sure.
and I was nervous because a lot of the other guys that interview Matt, they take it from a perspective of where they try to start shit and like
Right.
stir controversy, and I took it from a perspective of like, put your heart out there, like what are you doing, like
Yeah, you gave him
why
a
is this
platform
so
without, yeah, because you
yeah.
look at some of the comments he gets on his post, and
Oh,
some
he
of
gets
them are
hate
like,
all the time. And he
yeah,
even
it's
said,
too
he's like,
rough.
I've gotten death threats. Like I've got people that said they want to kill me and that they want it. And I'm like, it gets serious, right? Because you
It's
don't,
so fucking obvious what's happening that
sure.
do you really need to be told these things?
Right.
Yeah.
Like to
And
me, like it's very but like I said,
And I think the thing is I think what makes the rest of the band nervous, especially Tony and Edsel at this point, is if this comes out and they paint Wayne as a hero and like this epic musician, and that Static X was him and not the other guys in the band, I think it takes away from the legacy. And I think that's what they're trying to stonewall because
right,
they want this machine to keep going, right? It's a money maker for them, right? So they
right,
canceled the tour.
Right.
There were some health issues with some other guys in the band.
yeah,
Tony's back is really bad,
right.
I guess, apparently. But I mean, Edsel could get 2 other guys and replace those guys and go on as
Yeah,
Static X if he
they
wanted
don't
to.
even play any of Wayne's songs, right?
Yeah.
So like
So,
hell, it's not even a continuation of Wayne's legacy. It's
right. So I
turned into
think
its own
that
thing.
they're starting to get a little bit, to the
Nervous.
point where they're becoming nervous because if this documentary comes out and it picks up steam and people start to realize that Wayne was actually a good human and was a good musician and a good artist and not some junkie like they portrayed him to
Right.
be, it's gonna stop the legacy of the new Static X, which is obviously a moneymaker for these guys, because then Edsel just has to go back to Dope. And not Dope is a good band. I mean, I have nothing
Yeah.
against those
Yeah.
guys. I mean,
Right.
they opened for Mushroom Head tons of times, right? So like
Right.
I've seen them, at least 20 times when I saw Mushroom Head back in the day with a band called Twisted Method. They went like a leg tour together, and they played like the Chicagoland area like a dozen times
Yeah,
in two
those
years.
guys are pretty tight, and I think they're actually still pretty tight with the Static X camp, from what I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
So that's the thing. But with Matt, he's got a little bit more of a kind of a truth to be told with this. And like I said, I think his legacy is saying that they were two people that generally loved each other, that
Right. Right.
were good human beings, and that they just met
Met
tragic
tragedy.
ends,
Yep. Yep.
and not some portrayal of them being junkies and addicts and basically killing themselves with drugs and not caring about the music. And I think Matt's trying to portray it that they were just two humans that loved each other and that were met with untimely deaths. And if
Right.
Wayne
Right.
hadn't died, who knows
They're
where the
not the
state of.
first. They're not the first. I mean,
Sure.
Wayne
And
Staley, his
unfortunately, they're not going
girlfriend.
to
I
be the
mean, there's
last, right?
right.
So that's
Exactly.
the thing, right? I mean, you have guys,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that have, met young deaths across the way in the music scene and in all walks,
Yeah.
right? It's not just the music scene,
Yeah.
but, I think with the way that they portrayed Wayne in the last years of his life, that he was just some stupid, degenerate junkie that couldn't hold it together and
Right.
OD'd, which is not the case. And Matt's trying to put the story out that
Right. Right.
it's more like a Cinderella ending than it
Yeah.
was,
Well, Wayne doesn't deserve that to be his legacy either.
sure.
So.
So, yeah, but
But
that
thank
that
you
was
for
my.
sharing. Yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
sharing
so that
your thoughts on that, because I thought that was a really cool interview.
yeah, that was, and that's always, Matt's obviously, been one of my biggest people that I've gotten on.
Right.
I've reached out to a lot of bigger musicians and they all tell me the same thing. They're like, your channel's not strong enough to hold us. So like I was in talks with Tommy Vext and his camp, and I wanted to get Tommy on, and Tommy's like, my
Right.
management's not gonna let me do anything with anybody who doesn't have 100,000 subscribers or more to do a podcast. And I'm like, well, I don't have that, but I'd love to talk to you, just because I'm a huge fan of Bad Wolves, and I was a huge fan of all the stuff he did. And
Right.
I love the stuff that he did with Dino, and all the music he made with. And he's like, I
Uh,
appreciate it, but he's like, my management team's just not going to let me. And I was like,
I really like the new song. He's got Angel Vivaldi,
yeah, it's awesome.
um, and the music's really killer. But it's just kind of similar to the stuff we're talking like with Static X. You hear a lot when you're in the music
Sure.
scene, pretty deep like I am, and I'm a radio DJ too, so I get a
Yeah.
lot of insight. And I've seen him live, and he puts on a killer show. Funny enough, though, he at Rocklahoma, he told all the guys to put the girls on his shoulders, and I'm looking around. Most of these girls are bigger than the guys. I'm like, oh,
Right.
it's the wrong crowd. And I don't mean that in a sense. I just mean the
Sure. Right.
Oklahoma
No.
girls are some big old country
Yeah.
girls. They're stronger than most of the men. But it's kind of, he had a little bit of that toxic energy going on. So I wonder how people will be accepting to him. He should be humble right now. He should
I
take.
think
He should.
he is.
He
I
should
think at this
like,
point he is.
label be damned. I'm gonna come on a damn podcast and I'm gonna talk to somebody,
Yeah.
or
And
maybe,
that's what I was
the
hoping, because I was trying to tug at his heartstrings, right? I'm like,
right.
there must have been a time where you were filling bars with 30 or 40 people, and you were on stage and you were trying to make it, and you weren't this mega rock star. Just give me a chance. Who knows? Maybe he'll come around. I don't know. But
Yeah, yeah,
it
that'd be
was, it
cool.
was hard, but I was in talks with him and a couple other people. But like, I love having like, guys and girls, like you on, that are like super focused and like ready to go. And like, Tommy would be a good person to interview, but he's already been asked the same question
Right,
thousands and
right,
thousands of
right.
times, right? Like, I like finding people that like still have that passion and that fire, and like you guys are just
Hey
starting out,
man,
so the
let's grow
worlds that.
together.
Yeah,
We
that's
love building
We
relationships.
appreciate you
absolutely.
very much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and I appreciate you guys. And
You got any last?
I was going to ask you what's next right before you asked me the question.
Yeah.
You have the album coming out. What are your plans after August now? What do you got going on?
Okay, so hopefully we are in talks about doing a potentially our first debut show will be coming out maybe in December. And so there's a place that I was a regular at called Trees. It's very famous in Deep Ellum, which is historic district of Dallas. I'm talking like back when there was wagons and all that stuff. That was the
Okay.
place, and it still is kind of the art district where people go to play music and things like that. We've got the
Sure.
Bomb Factory, Canton Hall, and Trees right there in that area. Nirvana, Drowning Pool, the Disturbed, all those guys have been on that stage. As a matter of fact, historically, Kurt Cobain got punched by a security guard on that stage where they
Okay.
right and they blew up. And there's some video footage you can find that on YouTube at Trees in Dallas. And so there's a special event they do every year in December. I can't say right now because it's not
Sure.
a sealed deal. I can't
Right.
say who it's with yet, but if
Awesome.
things work out, it will be a nationally very well known band from the region.
Perfect. And you'll keep everybody
That
posted, right? As it
Yeah.
comes on,
Yes,
Oh,
like,
we'll keep
because
100%.
everybody posted. The talks are still in. They do announce it pretty early because it's an event that they want a lot of people coming
sure.
to. And I've been multiple times. It's dick to butt in there. I mean, there's no elbow room.
And
Okay.
then the next album we have
We're scheduled to go back in. We've got a collab that we're knocking out with somebody that we can't really say just yet, but he is definitely a legacy artist that's
yeah,
very well
we
known.
definitely will be doing that.
Awesome.
It's
So
locked in. That one's completely locked in. So we're knocking that out in September, but we go back in October, start album number 2. We're
Okay.
hoping to jump on tour with him first of spring. So in between
Sure.
then, we're going to be knocking out some short film. Hopefully, we'll do short film. We'll be shooting a music video for every song on this album. So lots of video content coming up, and of course, we model photographer. We've been published in magazines just as model photographer.
Sure.
So our page does. We do a lot of that kind of stuff, and we're hoping to definitely, like I said, getting a lot more video content, building our own studio where we can do streaming video games and
Awesome.
just try to find our crowd everywhere we can.
Yeah, well, this has been great, and I want to thank you guys for coming on and sharing your story and all about you. I wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah, find us
I will
everywhere.
drop all your links in the
Great.
bio on YouTube so people will know where to find you. And then obviously I'll share this out with everybody else, and we'll obviously keep in touch and let us know.
All right,
Maybe
brother.
maybe I'll make the trip down to Dallas to see you guys. So
Sounds
heck
good,
yeah,
man.
thank you so much
yeah.
for having us. This has been awesome.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys. We'll see you on the next one. We appreciate everybody. Thank you for being part of the One Fun Guy podcast family, and we'll catch you on the next one.